Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. This is Matthew Walker. This is not a normal Tampa Bay Rays video feed, but the Tampa Bay Rays took part in helping our first responders, our policemen, our fire departments, and our EMS divisions of the city of St. Petersburg take part in a simulated emergency training drill. Enjoy.
I'm Jim Previtera, Previtera, and I'm Assistant Police Chief, City of St. Petersburg.
Okay, so we're looking for you to just kind of give us a rundown on what exactly was done today. What did it start with? What were you guys trying to test for?
So this morning we had the opportunity to test not only the resources and responses of the police department, but really of the entire operational staff at Tropicana Field. We simulated a disaster occurring during a baseball game, and the responses of both the first responders that are present here at Tropicana Field during a game, as well as first responders that would come from the surrounding areas in the city, including other fire departments and police departments and the sheriff's office. So we were able to gauge that. We also, because of the extent of the scenario that the Department of Homeland Security created for this particular day, we did tap into federal resources. We have agents from the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms that have responded here, as well as the FBI. And we'll be working, at this point, we're midway through the exercise, and we'll begin to work with the FBI's evidence recovery team, as well as the ATF and the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, to not only secure Tropicana Field as what would be a crime scene in this scenario, but to document what took place, how it took place, and the parties that were involved. That process will go on into the early afternoon hours, and then we'll be able to sit down tomorrow with the Rays and Major League Baseball and take a look at how the emergency response plan here at Tropicana Field was executed. And there's always room for improvement, and there's things that we did very well today and things that we need to do better on in the future. So we'll take a hard look at that tomorrow. We'll have a prolonged discussion in the morning tomorrow to see how we can improve it to better protect the fans and better respond to an emergency should one occur here at the field.
Can you kind of give me a rundown of what you guys were trying to simulate? So this was a plane crash into the stadium? Or?
Yeah, so what we simulated here today is we actually brought an old aircraft into the stadium and put it on the field. We simulated that there was a compromise of the roof of Tropicana Field by an aircraft, a small aircraft, and that plane ultimately did end up in the right field area of the stadium. Initially, our first concern was the safety of the fans, and so we used the police resources, security resources, and the Rays personnel to evacuate the fans, to determine what, if any, injuries these fans had suffered, and to provide them with first aid. Then from a law enforcement standpoint, we immediately locked down Tropicana Field and secured the stadium, controlling access in and out and establishing the proper command structures for both law enforcement and fire, so that we could not only channel resources in here, but also ensure that this wasn't part of some bigger problem that we failed to see. So I think all of that transpired well. We were able to evacuate, I believe, about 300 people to area hospitals. The hospitals were also involved in the planning, so right now they're testing their resources. And now we are into the crime scene phase of the plan, and that is the FBI, the ATF, to determine if, in fact, this particular incident was an isolated event or if it was part of some coordinated act of terrorism.
And part of that was there was a radiological element to it?
Yeah, so there was an element to the exercise where the aircraft, when it hit the field, the fire department's first units that approached the aircraft had the equipment that immediately detected some levels of radiation being emitted from the aircraft, which automatically cause them to take certain responses and to enact certain responses to protect those people that were still on the field, including security personnel, fans, and law enforcement. Once they determined that the level of radiation was not that would cause any kind of immediate health risk, then they were able to pass it off to the regional bomb team, which is comprised of law enforcement agencies from all over the Tampa Bay area. And they have cleared the aircraft, and now we're moving into the investigation and the evidence recovery part of this.
So that box they had a little bit of radioactivity.
Yeah, there actually was.
Off their Geiger counter.
Correct. The Department of Homeland Security did bring a small amount of radiation to the aircraft, and that did alert the firefighters when they respond. Obviously, we're wearing detection equipment that showed them some gamma rays and showed them that there was radiation present, and that's exactly what we wanted, and their response was exactly what we wanted. So, so far, certainly some areas for improvement, but by and large, I would say that the evacuation plan that the Rays have in place and the response plans that the police department and fire department have in place certainly worked in this case.
And I guess another big part of it was the live victims that were on the field. So they were treating them and then transporting them to areas.
Yeah, the victims were a key part for us because we had, we can't simulate an emergency without having to deal with the victims. Obviously, if this occurred during a baseball game, whether there's 15,000 or 35,000 fans, it's going to be a very challenging set of circumstances for law enforcement and medical. So having the role players today, not only from the Rays organization, but other organizations that the Rays invited, including MacDill Air Force Base. We had baseball teams from St. Petersburg Catholic High School and Clearwater Central Catholic High School that actually simulated the on-field players, which was also an important part of it because they are a concern for Major League Baseball. So it gave us the opportunity to test all of our responses and to gauge what was working, what worked the best, and what needed improvement.
And print the name of your retirement guard.
We all know people monitor radio, and if all of a sudden they hear some call coming out,
when you buy 4 tires at Big League Look. To learn how your T-ball team can take the field in style, please visit raysbaseball.com.
right to the exit. Right outside to the exit.
Orderly fashion to the nearest exit. Do not run. And please follow the directions of stadium personnel. The Rays thank you for your cooperation. And orderly fashion. Please follow the directions of stadium personnel. And
Rookie Renee, I did 111.
Okay. All right. We're going to get you taken care of, okay? We've got other medical teams coming in to get you transported out.
Nice deep breath, okay? They doing anything to help Bob out?
Check if all our guys.
Everybody's good. Assisting. How are you feeling, sir? doesn't want to move. Okay, where are you located? Go once.
Rick, R-I-C-K, N-A-F-E, NAIF, Vice President of Operations, Tampa Bay Rays.
So can you tell me a little bit about this event today, what you guys are taking part in?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a massive undertaking. People really don't realize all the moving parts that this has on a local level, state level, national level, federal level. But it's great because it gives us a chance to, in a real case scenario, of any kind of stadium disaster where you have to evacuate, it gives you a chance to test your systems from the inside, your own people, on the evacuation system itself. It gives you a chance to test the communication factor of trying to herd all these people into certain locations, and at the same time you've got all the people from the outside hearing about it, trying to get information. It gives you a chance to test not only your response inside the stadium, but then your first responders who come in from the outside. And it's just such a great drill to go through. It's time consuming, it's expensive, but it's something that we picked up a few things today that we think is going to help us in the future, and it's a valuable thing to do.
How important is it that your employees treat it, seriously? This is a serious thing that you're trying to get the best efforts out of.
Well, the only way you're going to get a really true gauge on how you're doing is to get everybody's buy-in on it and to treat it like the real thing. Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels out here. So it's and when you start talking about the local participation, we had 10 hospitals. We have St. Pete Police, St. Pete Fire. We had on a state level FDLE, national level DHS, Department of Homeland Security. There's a lot of people spending a lot of time. So if they find that you're not taking it seriously, then you may be a casualty that you didn't want to be.
And then finally, as far as a grade that you give yourself, how do you think you guys did today?
Well, it's too early. We have a lot of evaluators, which is really valuable to us to turn around and say that this needs to be tweaked, this needs to be better. But I think overall, with what we've seen, and I've done 3 of these now, coming over from Tampa Stadium. I thought that everything went really well. Obviously, what's important to this organization is fan safety, fan comfort, and we want the fans to feel like they can come into Tropicana Field and be safe. And this is an important part of what we have to do on so many different levels to ensure that stability, that safety, and the comfort of the fan.